AITAH for making my husband choose between me and his mistress. I, 21F, and my husband, 20M, have been together for a little over 3 years and have been living with each other for a year and a half. Recently, I found out about an affair he has been having with one of our mutual friends. Let's call the mutual friend Sue. Sue had been friends with him since a few months into our relationships. She would always join us to hang out and play games together and so on. Sue and I became friends quickly. But this is where things take a turn. She started to pull back from wanting to hang out with me, or even both of us together. Sue would claim that she just wanted to hang out with the boys, even though that only included my husband, and how she didn't want to be involved with other girls as it gave her anxiety. Although being bitter about the situation, I understood, and gave her the time to hang out with my husband and space away from me. I found out about the affair while my husband was in the shower and left his phone unlocked and in the room with me. She had called him, so I picked up. Without letting me get a word in, she started going off about how he was going to call her when he was in the shower to have sexy time and how she couldn't wait for him to come over to her house tonight. I hung up immediately. I couldn't believe he would do that and thought it was a prank call and left it at that. Until later that night, he had randomly left the house with his computer open. I know I shouldn't have, but I went through their messages as his computer gets his text messages as well. This affair had been going on for about a year, and it's to the point that they are sending lovey quotes back and forth to one another and telling each other they love one another every day. He would also sleep call with her because she was in a bad state of mind very consistently. At first I passed it off as Hun being a good friend, but it eventually made me uncomfortable. He has also been telling her that one day he will convince me to become polyamorous, and so she can come live with us, and we will all be together. I am not poly and have made it very clear to him since the start of the relationship that polyamory was a boundary for me and would never be considered. He has never mentioned anything about him being polyamorous as well during all this time. After I found out about the affair, I didn't mention anything to him for a while, but mentioning to him how I feel uncomfortable with her presence because it was obvious she had feelings for him, as well as saying I would like them to stop sleeping on call with each other, hoping that he would come to the conclusion himself and leave her. But that didn't happen. It was eating me apart inside, so I finally confronted him about it. He told me he was just being selfish and how he loved both of us. I told him that I had made it clear before we got married that I would never be open to an open relationship or polyamory due to past relationships. He got upset asking how I found out and that I shouldn't be snooping through his stuff. I left the house after that and got a hotel room so I wouldn't be around him while he was so angry. He texted me the next day asking if we could talk about it all and where we go in the future. After a long talk of why he cheated and what all happened, he told me that he didn't want to lose me and that he would kill himself if he lost me over his mistake. That's when I told him I would not continue to come around to be in his life if he doesn't kick her out of his life. I told him I would be open to fixing things, but would not be able to trust him again with her still in his life. He again got very angry and said I couldn't do this to him, and I was ruining his chances of being happy. Now on to the next story. Story 2. AITAH for ghosting my cheating fiancé. So, I basically did what the title says, but for context. I, 27F, dated my ex-fiancé Jonathan, 29M, for 4 years, and we had been engaged for a couple of months. It was a good relationship, and I truly thought I would spend the rest of my life together, but I guess I was just too naive to see the truth. To keep it short, I found out he had been cheating on me with a mutual friend for a couple of months, and that group of friends in particular was covering up his affair. They were all acting strange. So I went through his phone and I found out they had like a separate group where they even made fun of me for not realizing. I was furious, and my first impulse was to berate them all. However, I ended up deciding to just disappear from their lives. Any confrontation was clearly a waste of time with this people. When he went to work the next day, I packed everything I owned, took all the money I put on our joint account, which was a lot. Since we were paying for our wedding, we were planning a good honeymoon and wanted to buy a house. I blocked them from everywhere, put my accounts on private, changed my number, and I went back to my hometown and stayed with my mom and stepdad. I was so mad I even left my job right away. I told my friends and family what had happened, and then I decided to go on a big trip with some of the money I had put on our joint account. I left for 3 months. I had the time of my life and came back home like 2 months ago. I was able to get a job here, and I decided to start dating again. It's nothing serious, but I have been seeing this nice guy for about a month. I'm just trying to put my life back on track. Anyway, recently my family and friends are telling me that my ex and our ex-mutual friends are bombarding them with texts on social media. They apparently want to know where I am and are asking how I'm doing, and they are saying what I did was childish and I should just talk to them at least. I have no intention of this. For me, it's a closed phase of my life, and I literally did nothing at all. I just left. They will never see my face again or hear from me, and I told my close circle to just block or ignore them.